Last June, I stood at the edge of my front flower bed with my morning coffee and counted 340 blooms, give or take a few, where the bees would not hold still. Now here is the part I want you to hear. I have not planted one single new flower in that bed in 9 years. I do not water it but a handful of times all summer. I do not spray it, and I hardly ever feed it. Every plant in that bed went in the ground once, and it has come back bigger and fuller every spring since. But that bed did not always look this way. For years I wore myself out replanting flats of annual flowers every May, watering them all July, and watching every bit of it die in October. Today I am going to walk you through all 20 of the perennials in that bed, the sun lovers, the shade lovers, and the tough old soldiers that shrug off drought. And stay with me, clear to the end, honey, because the reason these 20 bloom their heads off with almost no work from me is not luck. It is one specific thing a perennial does when you leave it just a little bit hungry, and once you hear it, you will never look at a bag of fertilizer the same way again. I'm Debra Wilson. I have been growing flowers for more than 50 years, ever since I was a little girl at my Grandma Hazel's elbow, and these days my yard is the most colorful one on the block. And I will tell you honest, I once went 2 whole summers without a single hydrangea bloom because I was feeding those bushes all wrong. What Grandma said to me back then turned my whole garden around, and it is the very thing I am saving for the end of this video. So let us talk about what makes a perennial different, in plain words. An annual flower, like a petunia or a marigold, lives one season, blooms hard, and dies with the frost. You buy it again every single spring. A perennial is a flower whose roots live on through the winter, year after year. The top may die back to the ground in the fall, but come spring it wakes right back up on its own. Plant it one time and it just keeps coming. Now think about what those flats of annuals cost you. Around here, a single flat runs $20 and up, and most folks buy 5 or 6 flats every May. That is more than $100 a year every year for flowers you have to bury in October. A perennial costs about $10 or $12 one time, and then it blooms for 10, 20, even 50 years. My peonies out back are older than my grandchildren. So today we are going to fill your yard the lazy way, and I mean that as the highest compliment there is. I will give you my 20, 5 for full sun that bloom the longest, 5 that keep the show going into fall, 5 for shade, and 5 tough ones that thrive on plain neglect. And keep that fertilizer question in the back of your mind because it is the whole reason this list works. Now, before we get to number 1, I want you to know that everything I do in this flower bed comes right out of a little book I wrote called Debra's 30-Day Bloom Protocol. It is my gentle day-by-day system for turning big, leafy, stubborn plants into bloomers in 30 days, built on the old pantry and shed methods my Grandma Hazel used, and written out plain for hydrangeas, roses, peonies, dahlias, and perennials. It is 122 pages, and it walks you week by week from the simple soil test Grandma swore by, to the right cut at the right time, to a bloom playbook with one simple page for each flower. If you have a plant standing out there right now, giving you all leaves and no flowers, this little book is for you. It is $17, marked down from $47, and honey, $17, against another whole summer of green bushes and empty stems is the easiest math I know. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, honey, come on out to the sunny side of the yard with me, because that is where our first 5 live. Number 1, the daylily. If I could hand a brand new gardener just one plant, this is the one. A daylily makes a fountain of green straps with trumpet flowers in gold, orange, red, or soft pink, and every stem carries a dozen buds or more. Those old orange daylilies you see blooming along the Tennessee farm roads have been going strong for 100 years with not one soul tending them. Give yours 6 hours of sun. That is 6 full hours, and it will bloom every summer for the rest of your life. If you want flowers from June clear to frost, look for the reblooming kinds like Stella de Oro. Number 2, Black-Eyed Susan. Golden yellow daisies with a chocolate brown button in the middle, and they open in July just when the early flowers are winding down. Then they keep right on going into October. They shrug off heat. They spread into a bigger patch each year without being pushy about it. And if you leave a few faded heads standing, they will sprinkle their own seed and give you free plants next spring. I have never once bought a second Black-Eyed Susan. Number 3, purple coneflower. Some folks call it echinacea, which is just its formal name, like Sunday clothes. Big rosy purple daisies with an orange cone in the center from June into September on stems that never need staking. Once its roots settle in, it will bloom through a dry August without a drop from the hose. And here's a little bonus for you. Leave the seed heads standing in the fall, and the goldfinches will come feed on them all winter, little flashes of yellow in the snow. Number 4, perennial salvia. These are those deep purple spires you see in my flower bed standing up like little candles in May. The bees line up for them like it is Sunday dinner. Now, salvia gives you a second show if you do one small job. When the first flush of spires fades, take your hand shears and cut the whole plant back by half. That is it, just the one cut. In about 3 weeks, it comes right back and blooms again into fall. Number 5, catmint. If you have ever admired lavender in a magazine and then killed 3 of them at home, honey, catmint is your answer. Same soft gray leaves, same haze of lavender blue flowers, and none of the fussiness. It starts blooming in May and does not quit until September. It takes heat, it takes drought, and it takes clay soil that lavender would turn its nose up at. Plant it along a walkway and just let it billow. That handles the front of the bed and the early season. But it leaves you with the second problem, because late summer is where most yards go quiet. These next 5 fix that. Number 6, threadleaf coreopsis. Fine. Feathery green leaves covered in small buttery yellow daisies, and I do mean covered. A variety called moonbeam will bloom for 3 solid months, June, July, and August, with nothing from you at all. It stays low and tidy, about 18 inches, so it is perfect at the front edge where the annuals used to go. Number 7, Shasta daisy. The classic white daisy with the sunny yellow center, the one your mother probably grew. It blooms in June and July on strong stems, and it makes the best cut flower on this whole list. Snip a handful for the kitchen table, and the plant will not even miss them. In fact, cutting them makes it send up more. Number 8, yarrow. Flat-topped clusters of tiny flowers in yellow, red, or dusty pink, floating over ferny gray-green leaves. Now pay attention to this one, because yarrow tells on itself. Yarrow blooms hardest and stands up straightest in poor, lean, sandy soil. Give it rich soil and plenty of fertilizer, and it flops over and sulks. Remember I said these plants like being a little hungry. Yarrow is your first piece of proof. Number 9, Russian sage. A big, airy silver cloud of a plant. 4 feet of lacy stems covered in tiny lavender blue flowers from July until October. It loves the hottest, driest, most miserable spot in your yard, the one by the driveway where nothing else will grow. I have never fed mine once in 20 years, and every August it looks like a piece of sky fell into the garden. Number 10, tall garden phlox, big rounded heads of bloom in white, pink, and that glowing magenta, shoulder high and sweet smelling on a warm July evening. This is the flower that perfumes my whole front porch. Look for the mildew-resistant kinds, like the white one called David, so the leaves stay clean. And when a flower head fades, snip it off just below the head. That little snip is called deadheading, and it tells the plant to make more flowers instead of seed. Now you may have noticed something about these first 10. Yarrow wants poor soil. Russian sage never gets fed. Phlox blooms more when you take its seed away. Hold all of that in the back of your mind, honey, because the reason behind it is the one thing I promised you at the start, and we are getting close. But maybe sun is not your trouble. Maybe your yard sits under big old oak trees, and you have decided shade means no flowers. It does not. These next 5 bloom in the shade. Number 11, hosta. Most folks plant hostas for those big, beautiful leaves, blue, gold, and green striped with white, but let them be. And in midsummer, they send up tall spikes of pale lavender or white flowers, and the hummingbirds visit them every single evening. One hosta becomes 3 in a few years. Slice a clump apart with a spade in early spring and plant the pieces. Free plants, as many as you want. Number 12, astilbe. Feathery plumes of pink, red, or white rising out of ferny leaves, and it does all that in shade where hardly anything else will bloom. Astilbe asks for just one thing, a drink of water in dry spells. Give it that, and it will light up the dark corner under your trees every June. Number 13, bleeding heart. Arching stems strung with little pink hearts in April and May, like something out of a storybook. Now, I want to save you a fright. In the heat of midsummer, bleeding heart turns yellow and dies back to the ground. That is not your fault. It is just going to sleep early, and it will be back next spring, bigger than before. Plant a hosta beside it to fill the gap. Number 14, Lenten rose. This one blooms when there is nothing else, February and March, sometimes with snow still on the ground in dusty rose, cream, and plum. The leaves stay green all winter, and the deer will not touch it, which around here is worth its weight in gold. Plant it once by the front walk, and it will greet you at the end of every winter for decades. Number 15, coral bells. Mounds of ruffled leaves in colors you would not believe, caramel, lime, deep burgundy, nearly black, topped in early summer with thin wands of tiny bells. The leaves carry the show for 8 months, so even between blooms, this plant is earning its keep at the shady edge of the bed. Now for my last 5. These are the ones I would plant beside the mailbox and forget on purpose, because forgetting is exactly what they want. Number 16, sedum autumn joy. A tidy succulent with thick gray-green leaves that needs no water from you, ever. In late summer, it forms heads like pale green broccoli, and through September those heads turn dusty pink, then rose, then deep bronze red. Every butterfly in the county will be standing on them. Leave the dried heads up for the winter birds and cut them down in March. Number 17, blanket flower. Red and gold daisies, like little woven blankets, blooming from June until hard frost without one bit of help. The hotter and drier the summer, the happier it is. Poor sandy soil suits it best. Rich soil and heavy feeding actually shorten its life. There is that little hunger again, doing its quiet work. Number 18, bee balm. Shaggy, cheerful mophead, blooms in firecracker red and pink, right at the peak of July. If you want hummingbirds, this is the plant. They will fight each other over it outside your kitchen window. It spreads into a nice patch, so give it room and pull the runners you do not want in spring. 2 minutes of pulling, that is all. Number 19, the peony, my sweethearts. A peony planted right will outlive the person who plants it, 100 years and more, blooming huge fragrant bowls of white, blush, and rose every May. Here is the one thing that matters. Plant the roots so the little pink buds on top, the eyes, sit no deeper than 2 inches below the soil. 2 inches, honey, no more. Plant them deeper and you will get a healthy green bush and no flowers for years. And when you see ants walking on the buds, leave them be. They are just sipping the sweet coating and they do no harm at all. And number 20, the panicle hydrangea. After my 2 bloomless summers, hydrangeas humbled me. So trust me when I tell you this is the forgiving one. Some hydrangeas bloom on old wood, which means the branches that grew last year, so a fall pruning cuts off next summer's flowers. A panicle hydrangea blooms on new wood, the fresh branches it grows each spring, so you cannot prune away its future. Trim it in late winter, any way you like, and by August it is covered in big cream white cones that blush pink as fall comes on. And that brings us to the part I promised you at the very start, the reason all 20 of these bloom so hard for a lazy gardener. A perennial has one job in life, and it is not making leaves. It is making seed. Flowers are simply how a plant gets to seed, how it takes care of its future. Now listen to what changes that. When you pour on the fertilizer, especially the nitrogen in those all-purpose blue mixes, the plant reads easy living, rich soil, no worries. So it does what any of us would do in easy times. It builds. Leaves, stems, roots, bigger and greener every week, and it puts off flowering because there is no hurry to make seed when life is soft. But leave that same plant just a little bit hungry in lean, ordinary soil, and it feels the season passing. It hurries to do its real job. It throws everything it has into blooms because blooms make seed, and seed is its future. That is the whole secret, and it is why yarrow flops in rich dirt, why Russian sage thrives unfed, and why my 340 blooms come out of a bed I hardly touch. My grandma Hazel put it in 9 words the day she caught me hauling fertilizer to my hydrangeas. Honey, you're feeding the leaves and starving the flowers, so put the bag down. Spread an inch of compost over the bed each spring, 1 inch, and let it be. Then keep up that 5-minute deadheading habit, snipping the faded blooms, so the plant keeps trying to make seed and keeps making flowers instead. Less work, more blooms. Flowers are honest that way. And that one little correction is exactly how my book works. 1 gentle day at a time for every flower in your yard. Debra's 30-day bloom protocol takes a big, leafy, stubborn plant and walks it into bloom in 30 days, the same way Grandma taught me. Diagnose first, correct gently, then stand back and enjoy the show. It is $17, marked down from $47, and compare that to 1 more summer of staring at green bushes with no flowers on them. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there they are. 20 perennials you plant one time, feed hardly at all, and enjoy for the rest of your life. Tell me in the comments what's refusing to bloom for you this year and what state you are gardening in. I read every single one, and next time I am going to show you the 2-minute pinch I give my sedum and my bee balm at the end of May that keeps them half as tall and twice as covered in flowers come fall. Now go on out there and get your hands in the dirt, honey. I'll see you in the garden.